My name is Jeremy White. I'm the editor of Pizza Today magazine, for those of you who do not know me. Thank you for getting up early. It's always hard to get people out of bed early in Las Vegas. I understand that. Beautiful sunny day. Thank you for choosing to spend your time and your resources to be here with us at International Pizza Expo. That it means a lot to all of us, so thank you for that. Today's keynote speaker, I'm really, really excited for you to meet him and hear his story. I first met Eric right here in Las Vegas at Pizza Expo 5 or 6 years ago. I was leading a panel discussion, and afterwards he came up to me, introduced himself, said, "Let me tell you about this little pizzeria I have in Kentucky," because I'm born and raised in Kentucky. I'm a Kentucky boy, so we like basketball, horses, bourbon, and pizza, right? So he said, "Let me tell you about this little pizzeria I have." And he told me about his little pizzeria. And he's an hour and a half from where I live. So one day I just drove in there unannounced, sit down, had an amazing meal with my family. Eric didn't even know I was there. What really caught me was the choreography, how everyone had a task. And there weren't one employee, 5 employees. It seemed like a sea of employees, and they were all busy, busy, busy. I can keep this short and sweet, but I had an uncle with Down syndrome. He was my best friend. And I noticed that they had a teenage boy with Down syndrome working for them. Brought tears to my eyes. And I reached out to Eric. I talked to him a little bit. And I quickly discovered that there's not a human being on this planet with a bigger heart and more giving than Eric and Amy. Amy's sitting down here, so I'm going to embarrass her. Hi, Amy. Good morning. The heart and how much they give. And I'm sure he'll talk about that. So having said that, I just want to kind of frame that for you. By the way, Camporosso was named the Pizzeria of the Year in 2024. I don't know how much Eric's going to share about financial details. I will tell you his gross sales volume is astounding. And what's even more astounding is the amount of money that he gives away to his community that he could put in his own pocket. It's really, really special. Anyway, now that you know what you're in for today, please give a very, very warm welcome to Mr. Eric Redfield.
All right, how cool is this? My family's here. They all look very nervous. This is going to be okay, I promise. I promise. But I'm working up here without a safety net. I don't have a speech written out. I don't have notes. I'm going to do this for the most part extemporaneously. So if I lose the plot, I'm just going to keep talking until my brain catches up with my mouth. So bear with me on that. But a couple of things. First things, when I say we or I also mean my wife, Amy. She is my partner in life and in this business. And without her, none of this would be possible. So thank you, honey. And I'm from the corporate world, and I have done more of these you can imagine relative to not keynotes, but just being involved in watching people speak. And so many times you leave and you don't know really why you were there or what the speech was about. So I'm going to tell you about, in the simplest terms, what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about growing your business by giving back and looking out for the needs of others. It is that simple. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. You can do both, and I'm going to walk you through that. Also, I'm going to start where I'm going to finish. And that is, it's not about fame and fortune. It's not about status and success in life. It's about who we help along the way each and every day. So make somebody's day better. That's where I'm going to finish this, and I'm going to start it as well. But I think we're all here. I think everybody in this room, we all have 2 things in common. We want to make great pizza, and we want to make a living. I'm going to talk about a third thing, and that is finding your purpose. More specifically, I'm going to talk about developing a purpose-driven culture within your restaurant that is rooted in giving back, serving others, starting with your staff, with your guests, and with your community. Again, it's possible. Now, my wife Amy and I, we opened Camporosso almost 8 years ago. We opened with one mission statement, and that was to open it as a platform to serve others. And we've stayed true to that for the whole 8 years. Now, we opened in a 100-year-old vacant Sunoco gas station. It was the first Sunoco gas station in Kentucky, opened in 1929. It had been closed for almost 50 years. My wife's grandfather's an architect. She looked at it and had a little bit of a vision. I did not, but it was closed and it was in really bad shape. But we get open, and in year one, we did a little less than $1 million in sales. By year 6, we're doing almost $4 million in sales. That's about a 430% increase. Shocking to us, absolutely shocking. And we did it, like I mentioned, by looking out for the needs of others and supporting our staff. I'm going to walk you through how we did that. Now, I have a PowerPoint presentation. I have 25 slides. Only 2 slides really have any text or content on it. I'm going to use a series of pictures and videos and quotes really to walk you through what we did and our story. But again, we did it by coming here and learning to make great pizza and giving back. And with that said, and first things first, I want to recognize Pizza Today and International Pizza Expo, because this is where we started this dream and this journey 10 years ago. We had no idea what we were doing or where we were going, but we came here first. And we met this group, and they have really helped us along this journey. I've been to over probably 100 trade shows and subscribed to more trade magazines than you can ever imagine in my corporate life. And there are none that bring as much value as Pizza Today and the International Pizza Expo. It all started right here. So I would like them to stand up, because I didn't know them when I first came here, but some of you may not recognize them either. So we have Jeremy, Josh, Denise, we have Katie, we have the new editor from Denver, whose name I forgot. So give these guys a big round of applause. They are absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. So, why a purpose-driven culture? Numbers you can make numbers say whatever you would like, but why a purpose-driven culture? But organizations that have a purpose, they grow 3 times faster than their competitors that do not have a purpose. Purpose-driven cultures have their employees are 40% more productive, they're more motivated, and they are 50% less likely to leave. So if you have the opportunity to have a purpose and you can grow faster, you can be more profitable, and your folks aren't leaving, why wouldn't you do that? It just makes sense. And more than anything else, you're benefiting the greater good. That's the most important thing. And the other piece of that is your community, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this, and you're going to see it in just a second. But your community, when your purpose resonates and it aligns with your community, you're building lifelong customers, you're building people that are loyal to you, they want to support you, and more than anything else, you're building brand ambassadors. And what's better than that? You're building folks that want to continue to come to your business, but they're out in the community talking about everything that you're doing, and that's gold. You can't buy that. So you absolutely 100% want to build that. So that's really the crux of what I'm going to talk about, how we develop that purpose-driven culture. But I want you to hold that thought for just a second. So I don't care how big your heart is. I don't care how much money you give away or how much you do for the greater good. If your pizza isn't good, people are going to stop coming. They just are. They're going to come for a little while, but if you don't have this pizza right, you're going to lose your audience and you're not going to be able to do anything for the greater good. So get your pizza right. I'm going to blast through some pictures here, and these are industry leaders. Some of you may be here. Some of you may work with these folks, may know these folks. But I'm going to blast through these pictures. If you see yourself, go ahead and clap if you know these folks. But these are the industry leaders that have helped us along the way and have helped us to perfect our pizza. Our pizza isn't perfect. We're trying to get it better each and every day. But these are the folks that have helped us all along the way. Some of them are no longer with us. But these guys here, like I mentioned, have huge hearts. And one of the cool things about all those pictures that I took are they occurred at 2 Pizza Expos before we ever opened our restaurant. So we came here and developed our product and our mindset before we ever got open. And it was because of this organization right here. Again, I can't stress that enough to help us get off the ground. So, talking about developing your purpose, right? Your purpose-driven culture. You want to get your pizza right, right? So now you have 2 objectives, right? You want to get your pizza right, and you want to find your purpose. Now, with that regard, I'm going to go through 3 quotes that I have that I use almost every single day. One of them is prominently displayed throughout our restaurant. It's become part of our brand, and it is everywhere. I'm going to show that in just a second. But this is Teddy Roosevelt. Do what you can with what you have where you are. And the reason this is so important, because whether you're in the dish shank or you're in a pizza line or you're a manager, an owner, or an investor, this really says it all. And the middle part of that quote is what I'm the most interested in, with what you have. So you may not have the money to donate, but you may have a special talent, you may have a special skill, or you just may have a pleasant disposition and a smile at the table. And we stress that to everybody in our organization. So if our districts are pre-busing, they may not be donating money to a local charity, but they can have a good disposition and treat people well at the table. So again, do what you can with what you have wherever you are. Good pizza isn't cheap, and cheap pizza isn't good. That was spoken to me in 2015 at the Pizza Expo. It's unknown. I think I know who that was, but I don't know for sure, so I didn't really want to attribute it to them. But truer words haven't been spoken. This helped us to develop our brand. We didn't know what we wanted to do, where we were going with this, but it helped us to realize that the brand we wanted to focus on was an elevated experience, from a high-end pizza, all the way to the experience at our restaurant, even though we were in a renovated gas station. But that was instrumental in helping us develop where we were. So good pizza isn't cheap, cheap pizza isn't good. And finally, Philippians 2:4. This is everywhere. It's on our hats, it's on our uniforms, it's everywhere. It's been with us since day one. Look not only to your own interest, but also look for the interest of others. And I interpret that a couple of different ways. Again, when we look at that, we measure every decision that we make against that. So when we look out for your own interest, so if we're making a decision, does this make sense for our business, number one? And then also, does it help other people? It's that simple. And you don't have to be of that faith to believe that. Who can't get behind looking out for the interest of others? Now, we had a couple of decisions that we had to make. And like I mentioned, we measure every decision against this. And we use this as our moral compass in a decision that literally changed our business forever. And frankly, it changed our life forever.
That is the last thing restaurants and bars around here want to see happen, especially in Kentucky, where there is still 10 days left of the ban on indoor dining.
But even as the income shrinks, one local restaurant is stepping up for its employees. Alexa Hellwig reports tonight from Fort Mitchell.
4 years ago, Eric Redfield opened the doors to Camporosso with one principle.
Do not only look out for your own needs, but look out for the needs of others.
That message stands strong at the pizza spot in Fort Mitchell. More than 40 employees at Camporosso are feeling the impacts of coronavirus restrictions. Blake Gehring has worked for Redfield since day one.
They look out for their employees more than anybody I've ever worked for.
Redfield understands the frustrations of Kentucky's service industry workers. That's why everything he makes in December is going straight back to his employees.
For some people, this will buy a Christmas gift. For other people, it'll put gas in their car and food on their table. So there are very different extremes here that we're dealing with.
And to Redfield, his employees are family.
Really didn't see it coming, but with the holidays, once again, they're just always looking out for us. And just, like I said, just genuinely generous owners that they want to see that we're all taken care of.
Despite the latest changes to restaurants, his customers have been showing up and keeping Camporosso busy.
You can hear the phone ringing. We do online ordering. It has been nonstop for takeout.
Bridget Go recognizes what the owners stand for. That keeps her coming back.
The atmosphere is fantastic. The owners are always available, like they're always walking around, and the food, of course, is incredible.
She's now making an extra effort to order pizza nearly every week to show her support.
The traffic with the bridge being closed is really bad, and I'm a little bit further away, but to me, it's still worth it to not only support them. I would hate it if they closed, because of the shutdowns.
In Fort Mitchell, Alexa Helwig, Local 12 News.
So that was our tipping point. So we made that decision, and it was an easy decision for us to make. And it more than doubled our business almost overnight. It really was. But the reason it was such an easy decision to make is that was baked into what we do. That was part of our DNA. And we were ready for that moment. I don't call it an opportunity because it was such a terrible thing to happen to the restaurant and hospitality industry. But it was a moment, and it was a moment that we were ready for. And I kind of preach a little bit about that, when the door, we get very few moments in life. And when that door opens, you have to be ready to walk through it. So just the mere fact that we had been doing all of those things leading up to COVID, we were ready for that decision. I mean, we did so many things prior to COVID. We opened a Title I reading room at my elementary school. We did, several fundraisers for adults with autism. I mean, on and on, and things that people don't know about, but we just knew that in our heart, it was the right thing to do. So we had laid that groundwork all along, and our community knew what we were about. And then when COVID hit, we really didn't know exactly what we were dealing with. I mean, strategically, it was very hard to plan for takeout, inventory, scheduling, because you were open, you were closed. I mean, that was all the board. We all lived through it. But we got to that point. Now, during COVID, some of the things that we did that I think resonated with our community and with our customer base. We sat down and we had 3 objectives that are on the board there. Amy and I sat down. We wanted to stay open. We wanted to no staff layoffs, and we wanted to help our community. And we were able to accomplish all those things. So I want to share a couple anecdotal stories that I think really helped us along the way. The first group that we wanted to look out for in our community was the frontline healthcare workers. Nobody knew where we were going with this. Everybody's working double shifts. And I'm going to share an anecdotal story relative to Amy and where we started first. So, hopefully I get through this. Amy's dad was a college graduate, had a professional job, and had a stroke at a very early age, in his 40s. 3 kids, a wife, and he had to do something to support his family. So he got a job as a custodian at the local high school. And he did that the rest of his life. So when it came time to look out for the needs of others and look out for healthcare workers, Amy said, what about the maintenance engineers and the facility workers, those that are being exposed to COVID every single day, keeping rooms clean and waiting rooms available and safe for all of us? And that's where we started. We started feeding the custodians and the maintenance workers at the largest hospital in our area. And again, it's because of the big heart of Amy and I and our family. From there, we looked at the healthcare workers and the frontline workers and the nurses and the doctors and everybody involved, because like I said, we just didn't know what we were dealing with. So we decided to do a meal program where we would prepare take-home meals for the staff. So we went to the hospital, gave it to human resources, we gave them vouchers, and we said, you guys decide who needs these, who gets these. They come to our restaurant, they pick up dinner for 4 to take home to their families since they didn't have time to take care of that. And that's where we started. I don't have pictures of that, but we had just an assembly line of bolognese and meatballs for 4. And an interesting thing happened, and like I talked about, when your purpose resonates with the community, our community saw what we were doing, and they came in and they wanted to start buying that forward. And they wanted to start buying meals for the healthcare workers as well. So we started a meal match program where we would match every meal that was purchased. And we did probably over 1,000 meals to these healthcare workers. They just kept coming in and picking up meals and buying meals. And it was just an unbelievable experience for us. And it got to the point where we stepped back. We're doing our numbers and we're making money. We're making money during COVID. I made the commitment during the takeout only that I was going to meet every single customer, whatever it was, wave, hand up, whatever we were allowed to do at the time with the social distancing. But I was going to meet every single customer that got a takeout pizza from our restaurant. I did that the whole time we were takeout only. And again, that just started to resonate with everyone. Making money. So Amy and I sat down, we thought, what is the next thing that we need to do? And that was, we've got what we need. We're paying the top line. Let's share our profits with our employees. And that's really where this took off. And we ended up, got to a point where we donated with donations, and Amy and I kicked in donations ourselves. We contributed $60,000 back to our employees during COVID. And like I mentioned, it was something that we knew we needed to do, and it resonated with everyone, and it helped those that that were in need at the time. And the growth that we were experiencing really did validate the approach that we were taking, right? So Amy and I have a very different approach in managing Camporosso. We color outside the lines occasionally. Like I mentioned, we left the corporate world, and we had a very, very clear vision statement that was to look out for the needs of others. And we've been doing this for 8 years, and it has been an unbelievable journey all along the way. We went from this to that. And from this, if you look really closely, that's the inside of a gas station. Those are the 2 garage doors where you pull in and get your oil changed, and there's a kind of a beam down the middle. And we went from that, and that's cleaned up. That's when we first started. We cleaned up, and that's what it looked like, to that. So a full house restaurant, we see anywhere from 250 to 600 people a day. And I've got to tell you, as part of my mindset and who we are beyond grateful. And that's something that I preach every day. I have, a positive attitude every time I come to work, and I have boundless amounts of gratitude. I was in the corporate world for 30 years, and I've got to admit, there was a problem almost every single day. I've been at Camporosso for 8 years, and I have not had a bad day of work in 8 years. That's how wonderful this experience has been. It has just been unbelievable. I have a Bible verse and a flag on my sleeves. So I believe in this country, and I believe in Jesus Christ. You don't have to look far to see what I'm about. I'm very strong in my convictions, and I live them each and every day, as Amy does, and as does our family. But if you look at something like this, and to think that, I made the joke that 10 years ago, when I came here, I was taking copious notes, and they were looking like I was crazy. I was in a pasta session, I believe, and Denise came up and asked me where I was from and what restaurant. I was like, I have no idea. I didn't know a gluten net from a hairnet from a fish net. And here I am today, standing up here as 2024 Pizzeria of the Year. And again, it's the hard work, but also everything that this community has to offer. So we are beyond grateful. So Amy and I realized that we had 30 years of corporate experience. We both managed sales teams, some global. And we realized we were running our restaurant like we raised our family. And that's the gospel truth. We run the restaurant with a very pragmatic outlook, based in common sense and really strong traditional values. Faith, education, hard work, service. When I talk about faith, I've got Philippians 2:4. I told you it's part of what we do. Education, we never stop working hard and trying to perfect our pizza. That's why we're here now. Hard work, we work 12 to 14 hours a day, each and every day. And for the most part, I love those 12 to 14 hours, sometimes more than Amy does. And service. We never, ever stop looking for ways to get back to other people. And if I could stop there for just a second with the service part, out of all the good that we have done, for at least we think so, and looking out for the greater good, what has resonated the most and where we have gotten the most buzz and I think probably the most credit is when we take care of our staff. It is amazing. We have done so many things with high-profile athletes and for kids and for the local orphanage, but nothing got as much buzz or as much coverage as when we do things for our staff. And that's something I think that you can take away from here. One of the tools that hopefully you have for your toolbox when you leave here is looking out for your staff. So you don't have to look out for these grand programs. If you look out for your staff, it's amazing what that will do as well. So service. Now, with the way we raise, thinking that we run the business the way we raise our family. I'm going to take a little bit of liberty here because my family, all but one, are here with me. And each of them are serving and giving back in their own unique ways. It's the way they were raised. And it's the way they're living their adult life. So I'm going to very briefly buzz through what they're doing and why they inspire us every single day. My daughter Jordan is here. She went to Georgetown University. She graduated from the University of Kentucky Medical School, and she is a gastroenterologist. So she's looking out for the interests of others every single day and their digestive health and everything else involved with that. So Jordan, thank you for coming out. My daughter Shannon has a bachelor's degree from the University of Kentucky. She currently is working on her MBA at Vanderbilt University. She'll graduate in a month with her MBA, and she will be starting with Medtronic, a large medical technology company in the cardiac ablation division. Again, looking out for people's cardiac health. My son Adam went to West Point. He's not with us today because he is in day 3 of Special Forces Green Beret Selection School. So he's made the choice to serve all of us. Since he couldn't be here with us, his wife Lauren is here. She also went to West Point, played lacrosse at West Point, could have gone to a lot of places, but she as well chose to serve us all in the United States military. So thank you guys for coming and supporting me. And I'm looking at my watch because my timer is not running, but I'm good on time. So I'm going to burn through these. That brings me to kind of our keys. When we first started, we had core tenets that we wanted to be good at. We have our values, but we knew what we wanted to be good at. And we developed those to the point now where they are our keys to success. And I'm going to burn through those, and I'll stop at a couple that I think are of particular importance. Obviously, the purpose-driven culture. Why would you not want to develop that and give back? Because you're going to build loyal customers. It is you're going to hire and attract, retain better employees, and it's a catalyst for growth. If you can benefit financially while doing the greater good, that's what this is all about. Employee satisfaction, I could talk about this for an hour, but this is something that I really want to touch on because I think this is what has really helped us to be successful. We have 55 employees now. A lot of part-timers, obviously, high school kids, but we have 55 employees. We have over a $1 million payroll. If I discount the high school kids that leave for college, we are experiencing 10% turnover in an industry that over the last 10 years, including fast food, is experiencing 79% turnover. We don't lose people. We started with 15 people 8 years ago. 6 of them are still with us. I mean, that's unheard of. And having that kind of retention makes our job so much easier. The customers get to see everyone. They know the folks, and that makes running this business so much easier. Relative to our pizza makers and our pizza line, 90% of our pizza makers and our pizza line, which are out front in the restaurant, they're customer facing, 90% started in the dish tank. Think about that. So we gave them, we trained them. We can tell right off the bat who has the ability to move up and take more responsibility. We train them our way, and they do things the right way, the way we want them to do it. And we move them up, and it gives them that avenue to advance and to do other things. A lot of those are high school and college kids, and they want that. Some of them are Gen Zers, and they want that gratification. They want to be able to move up and do something else. So training your own folks is key to this labor shortage that we are experiencing. So we have probably 30 resumes right now and applications for job for dish, and probably equally that many for servers and bars. So we have an unbelievable amount of people that are coming to us, but we don't have a lot of open positions because, again, we do train and hire train and move people up. Now, when we do hire, I talk about this a little bit, where we look at the 3 C's. We want to hire people, the 4 C's, that have character, that have competence, that have compatibility, and community. Obviously, the most important one there is the character. You want high character folks, and that's what's helped us with our employees and helping us with our turnover. There's no doubt about that. Relative to a narrow menu of great food, again, we try to do what we do really, really well. We don't have a broad menu. We have a very narrow menu. We keep it narrow, and we try to perfect what we're doing. Keeps people coming back. Exceptional hospitality. This is the guest experience. But it is all about hospitality, hospitality, hospitality. And in simplest terms, just like running the business, like we raised our family, we treat people like they're at our home. So if you're having a dinner party at your home or a cookout and you saw somebody that was without something, or they had that look that they were looking for something, you would obviously go over and you would ask them what was going on. You take the same approach in the restaurant. You'll see somebody in the crowd, and you'll kind of understand that look, and you go over and you see how things are going. There are times, probably 10 times since we've been open, where somebody has gotten home with a bad takeout. Something was missing. They didn't get what they thought they were going to get. I hand deliver those. I've hand delivered, sometimes 20 minutes away, a mistake that was made. And that rings so true. I've gotten so many reviews relative to that. Just doing little things like that. So exceptional hospitality. You can talk about the guests, customer service. That's getting seated quickly. That's getting your order quickly. That's getting your drink. That's having the servers, pay attention. But that's not hospitality. Hospitality is how you make people feel when they're in your restaurant. And that is, such a key. And the people coming in, understanding what we do for others, that helps as well. Community involvement. I've already talked a lot about that. We try to do something on an ongoing basis. And for you, a tool that you can use if you're closed, if there's a day that you're closed, what's the cheapest thing that you have that's going to provide the biggest return on investment? That is your time and your product, pizza flour. So we'll open up our restaurant when we're closed and support groups that we're passionate about or that are looking to help groups and raise funds. And it costs your time and a little bit of pizza. So those are just things that you can do to really help with that and community involvement and just getting involved. I mean, you can take a stack of pizzas down to the local police department, fire department, schools, you name it, just over and over and over, just little things that don't cost a lot. And it's just showing that you care. Owner engagement. Amy and I are there every day. I try to touch almost everybody that comes in our restaurant, and that just makes such a big difference because they know that I appreciate them being there. Location, that sounds obvious, but there are some great locations, and if your brand don't match the location, it's not a good mix. Where we are, we have an elevated, kind of an elevated experience. We're not the cheapest pizza in town. We're probably the most expensive, but we're in an area where that is really supported, and we work in that upper two quintiles of customer spending. And then media. And this, I can't stress this enough. With 24-hour news cycles, no matter where you are, the media is always looking for a story. All you have to do is call them. If you've got something interesting to talk about, or you have something that you want to get out to them, you'd be surprised how many of the media will come back and set something up. I turn down more media requests now than I have done. And just because they're always looking for something and they know we'll talk about something. So relative to the media, reach out to the media yourself. You can go to a local morning news station and ask for the local producer, and you'd be shocked at how much play you will get with that. So media is something that we definitely have engaged with early. And that video I showed, there are 5 more of those that we did with interviews during that period of time. So what's next for us? So we've started Camporosso Cares. Right now it's a fund, but we're going to start a Camporosso Cares Foundation. Amy and I are not where we want to be yet relative to retirement, right? Like I mentioned, looking out for others and providing for your family retiring. Those are not mutually exclusive. You can do both. So we're going to get there. But our goal with the Camporosso Cares Foundation, when we're finished and we walk out of that restaurant for the last time, is to raise $1 million and have that money support groups that we're passionate about and that we want to support in perpetuity, long after we're gone. I'm not sure if we get there, but that's a lofty goal that we have set. And, we've already started that. We're already donating money to that, and hopefully someday our kids are on the board and they're the ones making those decisions on where that money and where that compound interest goes to support other people. But that's what we want to do. But do you need to have that much money? Do you need to have a special talent or a skill to make a difference in someone's life? You do not. We have received thousands of emails and letters since we opened. Some good, some bad. I think the author Thomas Wolfe said, if you're nobody until somebody hates you, so you're always going to get that with the industry that we're in. Another known truth, not to get off topic, but whoever said the customer's always right never worked in a fast-paced pizzeria, right? Another one, whoever said there's no such thing as a dumb question didn't work in a fast-paced pizzeria, because there are plenty of dumb questions. But one other thing, to get off topic. Think about this for just a second. If you could go back and give yourself advice on the day you opened your pizzeria or the first day you started to think about your pizzeria, and you could give yourself advice in 4 words or less advice before you got started, what would that be? Think about that, just 4 words. And then also think about that advice, if it would make your pizzeria better. Could that advice still be implemented? You'd be shocked at how many of you will think, I wish I would have done this or thought this when I started, how you could do that now and make that change. Again, that's just off-topic minutia that I think about, and I talk about this in the restaurant, but think about that. But back to what I was talking about. You don't have to give away tens of thousands of dollars. You don't have to donate all of your time to make a difference in someone's life. I'm going to share 2 things, 2 handwritten notes that were delivered to me in my shop. The first one is from a young lady that was 15 years old. Her father was incarcerated, living with her grandmother. Her living situation was less than ideal, and she needed a job. She did not make eye contact with me when she came in, and she said very few words. Amy and I talked to her, but we saw something there. 7 years later, she gave me this note. Amy and Eric, over the last 7 years, you guys have seen me grow. You've been there for me when no one else was. You've done so many great things for me. I appreciate all that you have done. You guys saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and that made me realize that I should never give up. Words cannot express how thankful I am that I have had a chance to work for you. From the bottom of my heart, I am forever grateful. So that young lady is still with us in our 401k program, and she will graduate from the University of Kentucky in 3 weeks with dual degrees. And that's just an amazing story. And do you know why that cost us relative to giving back to the greater good? It cost an ear to listen, an occasional hug, an occasional shove, and a shoulder to lean on when that young lady didn't think she could stand on her own. That's what it cost us to make a difference. That was free. And the next is from a gentleman, older gentleman. I was standing at the front of the house, and he had tears streaming down his face, and he handed me this note. It was very long, so I've had to condense it a little. So my wife and I stopped in on Friday. We were celebrating our 33rd anniversary. Everyone treated us so well, and the service was outstanding. The owner made us feel welcome and even treated us to dessert. We honestly have never been treated so well. Considering it was our anniversary, I wanted this to be a special night because we can't afford expensive nights out. I hope this night would be okay. It was more than okay. I do not believe we could have enjoyed a meal any more than we did, mostly because of the way you treated us and made us feel special. I do not believe my wife stopped smiling for the rest of the day. I lived to see her smile. What would be just another anniversary dinner for someone else will be the last anniversary we share together. You see, my wife has an operable brain tumor and is not expected to live to see another. I cannot thank you enough for making her smile and for what this day meant to us. Your kindness will never be forgotten. That woman passed away 6 months later. That ain't hard. That cost me $1.50 dessert pizza and 5 minutes at a table showing somebody respect and dignity. That ain't hard. So my challenge to you is to perfect your pizza and do what you're doing here. But more importantly, look out for the greater good. And starting today, no matter how big the gesture, how small the gesture, make somebody's day better today. It is that easy. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much for Pizza today.